Hi, it's Steffi from Steffi's Beads and Baubles, and I'm going to show you this tutorial today on how to make a little wreath ornament. I hope you enjoy it. It was a lot of fun. It's been a long time since I created an ornament, and I'm looking forward to doing one every week going forward. So you enjoy the video, and I'll be right back with the tutorial. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to go through for anybody that's new and show you what you need. I start with a cookie cutter, and since we're doing a wreath, I picked this probably vintage, let's see, it says 1993 Wilton, and these are easy to come by online. But you can find similar ones in antique stores, and even in the store. I don't think the design has changed, and really it doesn't matter as long as it's a wreath. You can buy one of dozens of wreaths. And then I take my ink pad, and I like to use silver on the dark colors, black on light. Silver shows up, and I stamp out 2 of them. And see, you can see I have 2 stamped out. And then once I've stamped them, I cut them out. And then the ink shows on one side, but I just put that side to the back, because I don't mind if there's a little gold or silver, on the back. And then the hard part is you got to match them up before you stitch them together. So I make sure before I even bead it to kind of make sure that they're going to match up okay. And then when you sew them together, there's always going to be a little discrepancy because just stitching the whole front will pull it in a little bit. And I'll show you that at the end. But anyway, you're going to pick which side you're going to start with. Now, this one I'm going to do a bow. I was going to show you my struggle with the bows. This one had a pretty design on it, but it doesn't show on this side or on the knot. This one's also very pretty, but one side is satin, one side is glitter, and you can pick either side's going to be the same, just reversed. So that didn't work. I don't have any plain satin ribbon this width. So I decided I'd go with this gauze. I'd prefer a velvet, but for the sake of this video, I just wanted to have a nice bow to show you how to stitch on. And I'll stitch that onto the bottom. You could do it on top or bottom, but I don't know, I might put it on the top. Yeah, I might put it on the top of the thing, but you can do any kind of bow you want, if you want a pattern, if you want to buy bows. But I would do this kind of a width, which this is, let's see, find if one of them has some marking on it. If not, I'll get out my ruler. None of them are. I think they were all multi-packs. I think this is all from the lot back several years ago. Walmart had a clearance going on after Christmas, and I was able to purchase lots of ribbon that were 6 and 7 rolls for like 10% of its original price. So I got these rolls for almost nothing. I think it's about a 1/2 inch if you look at it. It's about a 1/2 inch. Let me see. Oh, is that a 1/4 inch? Just under. Let's put the actual ribbon, not the carton, on there. And is it a 1/4 inch? A little over. There's the 1/2 inch mark right there, and you can see. But you could do whatever you like. There's no right or wrong, and I tell you guys that all the time. If you want to put one of the thin pieces, if you want to put a wider piece, it really doesn't matter as long as you like it. For the sake of this video, though, we'll use this ribbon, although I think I might have to use this one just for the texture. But we're just going to like tack it on at the end, so I can always change it out if I decide. I don't know, though. I just really don't know. Well, for the sake of the video, we're just going to do this one. It'll look a little funky, but I want it to be a nice looking bow, and to me that's more important than the finish on the bow. But if you get a really good satin ribbon that's the same on both sides, you can see how well that ties. That looks really nice. So we're going to start with seed beads. Now, you can buy green seed beads anywhere. This is the current big tube at Hobby Lobby. You pay $3.99. You get this big tube, and it is 2.9 ounces. And if you wait till they go on sale, then they'll be half price. So $2 for this big tube. Now, this is the one I prefer because I just think they're a little bit better quality. But if you're just getting started, these are a little bit larger, but they're fine. This is the one that's on sale for $1.50 when they go on sale. See, they're normally $3. They're check beads, and they're just a little bit smaller. But either one is fine. I'm not going to use either of these because I have some open ones that I've got. I think this was Before they had these, they had tubes, and I believe this is the leftover of a tube. But what you're going to do is pull you're going to work on some kind of mat. This is a beading mat. I really highly recommend these. They really do. Let me pull my camera up onto the edge of it so I can pull it back. These are nice because they keep your beads from running away. You have to do it on some kind of soft surface. A piece of felt will work, but the problem with felt, because I've done that, is the needle catches on it constantly. Absolutely constantly, and you can never, it's just ridiculous. So, and then you need a beading needle. Now I had my case of beading needles out. I don't know where my little box went, so we're just going to pull one out of a package. And I have these, or little short ones, that actually work great for the ornaments because you're just coming up and through a piece of fabric and you really don't need a giant beading needle. The only reason you need a beading needle at all is because the seed beads are so little that if you try to stitch them with a regular needle, they won't always fit through, the eye will not always fit through a seed bead. So you're going to take, this is a tiny little one. These are called 11, size 11. This is Sharps. I inherited this. It's 16 in a case. I was given this by a friend of my husband's when his mother died. I have no idea when she purchased it. I don't know even what she used it for because she was more of a seamstress. They don't say beading needles on them, but you can see how teeny tiny the head of this is. Now here's a traditional beading needle. This is one of the brands I buy, and they're much longer, and they're a little bit easier to thread than that. That one's tough. Here's a regular beading needle. See, they're definitely much longer. I might end up using that just because it's getting harder and harder for me to bead these little things. I'll try. These are great for doing needlework. Like if you're going to do a pair of earrings and you have to go up and down a large fringe, that's what these come in really handy for. But honestly, although I'm so used to working with these poke me because I'm not used to it. Now, I buy the big spools, but I do this, I've been doing this for oh goodness, over 30 years. So I have these in every color, including white. This is a brand new one I bought to replace my old one. But you can buy these little spools. These I bought on Amazon. You get 12 for like $16. And I think if you buy all 3 sets with a few duplicates, it's closer to 40. And then these little spools here, in white as well. I don't have any little spools of white because I have an older one of these that still has quite a bit left on it. I just brought this out to show you. I haven't needed these in white. And then I didn't need these in color until, I needed these in color until I found the big ones. And I've got about 10 of these now. They're not available in as many colors as these little ones. But these are about $2. If you go to most of the beading sites, they sell different spools of these. And they can be several different prices. But it's been so long since I bought them, I really can't tell you. But this is a size of D, which is really ideal. Now, why can't you use regular sewing thread? I'll show you why. You can't break this. And sewing thread you can. And when you're doing the ornaments, you want them to stay on forever. You do not want to have that thread break. It's heartbreaking. I would imagine, because I've never had it happen, to have one come undone after all your hard work. Now I'm going to see if I can get this thread on here. Unfortunately, I can't show you, so I'll be right back once I get the needle threaded. Okay, I went with the long one. Those other ones are just so tiny, and I could have done it, but it was just too much. I just decided to go with the larger eye. So what you're going to do is you're going to pick where you want to start, and you're just going to come up. I'm going to pick a point. And why is it stuck? Oh, see, it got caught. Sometimes that'll happen. So you're going to pull it. Now, felt is quite porous, and there are times when the needle will pull the thread right through. So what I do is I start it, and then I put a pretty wide swath of thread across the top of the felt, which will be completely hidden when you do the ornament. Then I come back in right about where I wanted to start. This secures your thread much better than just a knot. And you can see there's a loose thread there, but I'll just cut that off real quick because it's kind of distracting. Okay. I love these little clippers. My son, our oldest son, I said I wanted sewing scissors. He bought me every kind of sewing scissors they had, including the little thread snipper. I love it. That's a handy little tool, let me tell you. Okay, so once you get your thread up through, you're going to start with your sequins and seed beads. Now, oh, isn't that funny? I thought I had some seed beads, sequins out. This has been this kind of day, all day long. It's been like this, just totally disorganized, and I don't know why. Okay, so you're going to get your green sequins. These are just some vintage ones I have. I have dozens and dozens, and this is a 5mm green semi-cupped, and I'll show you the cupping. So what I do is I pull this sequin up onto my needle from upside down. See, these are cupped, which means they're not flat. They're like this, except very lightly. So I'm going to put it upside down so that when I pick it up, the cup is up. Then I pick up one seed bead, and then it sits in the top of the cup like that. Then I'm going to pull it down so it rests on top of the fabric like that. Then I'm going to go back through just the sequin. You're not going to go back through the seed bead or it'll just come off. That seed bead is what holds on your sequin. So then you're going to go up next to that one. And again, I knock the sequin over so that it's face down. Pick it up from the back. Put a seed bead on. This is when you can use a lot of your uneven seed beads, because no one will ever be able to tell because they'll be on top. If you have more uniform seed beads, that's what you want to use for the edging. Now what I do is I take a combination of my finger and the needle, and I kind of try to push it up underneath the first one so that it kind of tucks in there a little bit. And then I'm going to go back down through that sequin and let that seed bead hold that one on. See? And the reason why I do the edge first is because if you were to start and just go up and down like this until you got to the bottom, let me get where you can see it. If you just go up and down until you get to the bottom, you could end up with too much space or not enough space. So if you do the whole edge and then I come around and do this edge, what that will do is give me an even edge no matter what. Then I can fill it in. And it doesn't matter if a few overlap here and there, as long as you have a nice crisp edge, it'll look nice. So what I'm going to do is do one more for you, then I'm going to go do this, and when I come back, I'll show you. See, there it is. I'm going to show you again. This is how it looks on the needle. You've got a seed bead on top of a sequin with the cup facing up. And then you're going to pull it down. I use a very long piece of thread. You might want to do it and tie it off more often. Then again, I'm going to take a combination of, I pull the thread to kind of get, I guess that seed bead was kind of hugging the thread. Then I take a combination of my finger, like that, can you see? And the needle, and pull it right up against the one in front of it so that it kind of tucks under. Okay, now I'm going to go do all of these, and I'm going to come back and just leave. I probably should have put one more here. I need to put the bow probably here. So what I'll probably do is come to here. I gotta get used to this. Come to about here, then I'll skip and go over here and put one more sequin, and that'll be where our gold is going to go later. But I'm not going to do that until I fill it in. So when I come back, the whole edge will be done and the whole inside edge will be done. And when those two are done, I'll come back and show you that it's done and what it looks like, and then I'll come back after I filled it in. But I'll be right back to show you. For you, it'll be right back. For me, it'll probably be an hour or so. But I'm going to go fill it in, and then I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, I've got the outside done, and you can see this is where I'm going to put the bow is right here, and I'll do that last. I left a little space for a gold sequin. But as you can see, I did some red accents because I like my wreath to have red. And as I fill it in, I'll put some random red around the middle. But I'll be back when the front is done, and then I'll show you how to stitch it. But just in case, you know, you want to see me, what I do, I just, wherever I finished, you know, I just pick where I finished, and then, like, I'm on the inside edge here, I'll just go in like this and just continue the process. Putting a sequin, let me go get one. I'm working on in front of my computer monitor right now, so let me move a couple pieces over here though, and that way I can show you. But again, I'm going to take the sequin upside down and put it on my needle. That's double, that's why it's not working. Okay, and pick up a bead, and then I'm just going to do the same thing I did, except I'm going to not only be going side by side, I'm going to be pulling it in to the row in front of it, kind of like this. The first couple are easier, but I'm just going to, as I do them, I'm going to be tucking in this way and in that way at the same time. And that way it makes it, I like it really encrusted with sequins. Gives it kind of a bejeweled effect, which is the whole reason I love making these, is I love that look. And honestly, I'm really excited to get back to making some ornaments, because when I made this channel, this was the focus of my channel, is I wanted to do ornaments. Now see, I'm going to pull that in with my finger and the needle, but don't go through the seed bead, because you'll end up pulling, it'll fall off. So that's going to be the, you gotta, I had it perfect, but then I was going through the seed bead. Okay, so you kind of have to use your fingers and your hand, and your needle, and push it in, and then just pull it. And if it looks like that and you didn't do a perfect job, you know what the good thing is? You can come up here, right between, you can stuff one right in that little hole, which I'll do. I have one more seed bead on my table here. And that's the cool thing, is there's no, oh, well that seed bead is a little bit tight. Oh, okay, it went on. And you can just tuck it in. So like if you mess up like that and you don't get it as close, then you just get another sequin and another seed bead. Just kind of shove it in that spot. And another thing you can do, and I've done it more than once, okay, see, is, oh, I didn't go through the sequin, is I have no problem undoing one, taking the thread off my needle and pulling a piece out. But that's what I'm going to continue. I'll probably put a red, say, right there, and as I go through, I'll just fill it in. There's no right or wrong. You can go around in a circle, you can randomly go back and forth. As long as you have the edges done, there's really no right or wrong on doing it. And then, like I said, when I'm all done, I'll come back and show you. Then I'll add the bow and show you that, how I do that. But that's where I'm at right now. This is what the back looks like. And this is green thread, but you can still see it reflect pretty good. So I shall be back when I'm done and show you what the front looks like. And then we'll do the bow, and then I'll show you how to stitch it together. So I'll be right back for you. For me, it'll be an hour or so. Okay, well, I got this whole piece done, and I've decided I'm going to do the bow on the bottom. So I'm going to come back up like I did before, and I'm using a white thread, so I'm going to be real careful not to let it show. And then I'm going to go back down, come back up through the middle, and I'm going to put that gold bead on, but this time no seed bead, because what I'm going to do is pull that down and get my bow, which is right here, and then I'm going to come up to the middle of the bow. So I'm going to come up right to the middle of the bow like that, pull it down on top of the sequin, then pick up the little gold seed bead that I have. Whoops. You chase it down. So I've got a little tiny gold seed bead. I'm going to pull it down, turn this the right way. I'm going to have the bow facing down, I think. And then I'm going to go back down through the bow to hold that and come back down. See, I've got the sequin layered there, and I'm going to go back down through that sequin. I'm going to come through the bow and down through the, if you can see, I come out through the sequin and then pull it back and go down through the felt. So I'm coming down through the bow, through the sequin, and into the felt. Just got to maneuver a little to get it like that. And then pull it down. And then what I think I'm going to do to secure it a little better is come back through the back, come back up through the sequin. And on this one, I'm not going to worry about, I'm not going to go up through the top. I'm going to come in through the bottom. And I'm not going to worry about coming over the edge of the sequin like I normally do. I'm going to actually use that to my advantage. Just kind of come in and out through that sequin a couple times just to secure that bow on there. And you know, you don't even have to use a sequin probably. It'd probably be easier not to, honestly. So if you're going to do it, maybe don't put the sequin, it'd be easier. And then I'm just going to tie this off. Just come back over here. And the way I usually tie off is just doing little rings like this. I do little loops. And do it a few times one direction and then a few times the other. And then I'll be right back to show you how to sew the edge together. But that's how it looks now. So I'll be right back. Okay, now I'm going to stitch them together and show you how I do that. Now I'm going to be real careful to show you carefully because this is a step many people have the hardest time with because it's been the hardest to show. So I've got my thread on my needle and I've got a knot. And this one I'm going to do a little differently. Now I'm just going to pick a place to start. You can start anywhere. And one thing I would advise you to maybe do that I didn't do on this is to go inside and do a mark. Like maybe an ink mark on both pieces so you know exactly where to line them up. That would make it a lot easier to line them up so that they match up really well. But I do have ink showing on the back, but you can wash that off. But for this video, I'm not going to worry about it. I can always get it off later. But you're going to come up wherever you decide to start. You're going to go in the middle between the two pieces of felt and come up through the back. And that's going to put the knot right into the middle of the piece. And you can either cut that tail off or tuck it in, but I usually just cut it off. Then what I'm going to do is come from the front, tuck into those sequins, but don't go through one, and just come around. Coming out around the same spot, you're going to make a loop around the two, holding the two pieces together basically. So if you look, I basically came through, and I'm just holding those two pieces together. So I came up through the back, pulled it tight, then went from the front and came back around and pulled it to pull the two pieces together. Now I'm going to go back through from the back. I'm going to tuck under the sequins, but before I do that I'm going to put three. Now these seed beads are not good enough for the edge. These are not good. I've not been happy with them, so I want to get a better quality seed bead to use for the edge. And I have these nice vintage ones that are a little bit bigger and really pretty, so I'm going to use those. So basically what you're going to do is pull 3 seed beads. Now this is where you want to use pretty uniform seed beads. See how those are all very close together in size? Very uniform. Now these are vintage, it's easier to find those. But when buying seed beads, I buy Toho a lot because they are very uniform. But for the edges, you want it to be a little more uniform. For the front, they can be all different sizes. And now you're going to go around in a circle. So you came out from the back. Now you're going to take and put 3 seed beads in and come in from the back again, just like the first time. And so you're going to make that circle again. But what's going to happen is you're going to pull those seed beads down, and you're going to go back up through the very first one, going the direction that you're going. So since I'm going this direction, I'm going to pull this one, which is the last one on there. And what I'm going to do is pull it tight. Now, this is going to drive you crazy. The first bead is going to go way down. But when you finish up, you can pull that up. And I'll show you how at the very end. So after the first stitch, you only need 2, because the first stitch you got to get your base triangle done. Now I'm just going to put 2 seed beads on there and go pretty much right next to the first stitch, going through both pieces of felt again. I'm going to pull on 2 seed beads. Okay. And again, find the last one and go back up through that last one. And you got to pull it tight sometimes to kind of hold it in place. Pull it up through the last one and then pull your thread through. Now I like a long thread because I hate having to tie it off halfway through. Now if you notice, that gives you 2 triangles, 2 triangle edges. So, and then basically that thread you come through gives you your base for the next triangle, because now you're putting the point on and then the next step for the next stitch. So you're going to come back through, same way, through both layers, being careful not to go through a sequin. Go under or next to, and pull again, and go back up through that last seed bead again. And now you can see the pattern is starting to form. I'll do one more to show you. Then I'm going to go finish this edge, come back, wait until I get to the, almost to the, see again, I'm going through both stitches, go both through both pieces of felt, and pull it tight, and go back up through the last one, which I just say facing the direction you're going. And there you go. You're just going to keep doing that all the way around, and then I'll do the same thing on the inside. I'll just go up through the middle like this with the knot and do the same thing. It'll be a little weirder in there. I've never done one like in a donut before. But when I get down to this last stitch, I'll come back and show you how I do the last stitch. So I'll be right back for you, but for me it's going to be an hour or 2. So I'll be back in a bit. I'm going to let my camera charge while I go, and then we'll finish this up, and then I'll also show you how to do the loop. Okay, I'm going to show you how to put the last stitch in, and what you do is you get, if you can see that really carefully, you line up the first base bead and the last base bead, and basically what you're going to do is add the top bead. So you're coming up through the last bead, and you're going to go back down, pull it up next to it, and go back down through that very first bead. I'm going to get it lined up and then show you. You pull the thread through, pull the needle through, and show you. And then see, it finishes it off, gives you that last bit. So all you're doing is lining up the 2 base beads, the very first one and the last one. Then you're going to stitch it like I always do. I just do these circles. I have never tied a knot. I mean, once in a while I loop through, but for the most part I don't tie knots. I don't put glue. You're always welcome to do that if it makes you feel better, but in over 30 years of making these ornaments, I've never once had one come unraveled. I just loop, loop, loop one direction, then I loop the other direction. I do this every time I tie off, whether it be cutting the thread and redoing it, it doesn't matter. I always loop it like this. Okay, now I'm going to be right back to show you how to do the loop on top. So we're going to do the loop right there. Let me see if I have enough thread on here. See, Let me see. We need 6 inches of beads, and I don't think that's enough, so I'll be right back. Okay, so now I'm going to put the loop. Now I had to go ahead and put it in place before I started because I had to rip it out because I was crooked. So basically I'm going to line it up with the bottom, and I'm going to go through, I went through a bottom base bead. You know how you have the 2 base with the point on top. So I come up through a base bead, but I was supposed to come up through the felt. So let me pull it back out. Let me show you how I do that. If you haven't done much, you can pull right through. You can pull that needle right through. So I'm going to go back through. I'm going to catch the felt and then go back up through that same bead. I'm kind of glad I made that mistake because then I could show you. So I like to catch about, about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch and then come up through that base bead. I just wanted to make sure I had the right one. Now you can hang it and make sure it hangs straight. And it doesn't look like it's hanging straight again this time either. I've never done one with a ribbon, but I think it'll be okay if I go this direction. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it started and then come back. I'm going to put on, I've got a ruler laid out here, and I'm going to do 6 inches of beads. So I'm just going to start picking up the seed beads like this on the needle, and then just put them on until I'm going to lay it on the 6 like this, and just keep putting beads till it gets to the end of the ruler. When I have 6 inches of beads, I'll come back and show you how to finish this off. Okay, I'm back, and let me pull my ruler down to show you that I just laid it on the 6 inch and just got 6 inches of beads on there. Now I want it to hang straight, so I'm going to look at how, now normally there's no issue because I don't have a bow to contend with, but we're going to hang it so that it hangs perfectly straight. So what we're going to do is come down. I think what needs to happen is it needs to come down on this side over here. So I'm going to do the same thing in opposite. I'm going to come down on the other side, came up through this bead. I'm going to come down through this bead and into the felt. Let's see how that looks. I think that'll do it. Let's see, how does it hang? Yeah, that looks pretty good. So once you get that lined up where you like it, and it hangs straight for you, then what you're going to do is do what I do every time. So if you need 6 inches of thread beaded, then you're going to want about 1 foot, especially if you're using a beading needle, about 1 foot double, because you want to have enough to do this. Because the problem is if you don't have a long enough thread with these long beading needles, you will not have enough room to get your tight tie off, because these needles are super duper long, and that's the only reason why I like using the shorter needles when I can, because then you don't have to worry when you're sewing it or doing this tie off at the back or at the end, because you can see how long this needle is, and if you don't have at least a couple inches to spare, it's going to be a problem. You're going to cut it close. And then there's our finished ornament right there. Let me see if I can bring the camera up and hold it up for you. Oh, I just dumped all my seed beads. Luckily I caught them. Good save. Okay, let me see if I can pull up the camera. Today has been one of those days. I'm dropping stuff everywhere, but I want to get a little bit better angle for you of the ornament finished, and there it is. Now that's my first time tying a bow, I believe, onto an ornament, but I really like how it came out. Now you could put the bow on the top, you could put no bow, you could use sequin ribbon for the bow if you wanted, and that might be something I try on a different one, but that's the finished ornament. Now I made a mistake on this one. I'm going to show you. Made a big mistake, but I'm kind of glad because this is a mistake I need to show you. I didn't pull the loop tight. And you can see the thread is loose. This ornament has been kind of a challenge for me today. This is what happens when you're trying to hurry because I was trying to meet a deadline. So now I'm going to have to do this loop again. But I'm not going to make you watch for that. I'm just going to show it like this. And I will repair it later. But that's a good thing to show you, because if you don't pull it tight before you knot it, which I normally am good about. And the first time I did this, it was fine, but then it was off center. So when I show it in the intro, I just will kind of hide that. So you, but I will fix it before I put it on our tree. But anyway, learn from my mistake. Pull it tight and back before you loop it, or you end up with, and that's true on any beadwork. Any beadwork you ever do, pull it tight, and I normally do. But it's the second time I had to do the loop. It's quite late. I think it's like 10 or 11 at night. And I got behind because I made the video yesterday about the Goodwill blue boxes. I was really thrown off my game when I got the email from Goodwill, and then one of my subscribers notified me about it as well, so I ended up posting, and I talked to all my friends about it. So I didn't get started on this till late in the afternoon, and I meant to start on it early in the morning. But that's okay. Like I said, I don't mind making mistakes on camera because it's a teaching moment. And that's one thing I'm usually really good at, but I'm tired. So make sure that when you come through the second bead, you pull it tight before you knot it. And then once you see that it's pulled tight, pull it through the felt and pull it tight. And when you see that there's no loose string, then you can knot it. Anyway, I hope you liked it, and I'm going to do better on the next one. I'm a little rusty. But I'm going to come up with another fun one for next week. I actually have a pile of cookie cutters, and I just want to get a bunch of fun videos done for you guys. And haven't really decided what I want to do next. But I've got a bunch of them that I want to do, and some that I want to show you that I've been working on. That one that I worked on for my husband for the past 2 years, and I haven't finished it yet, but I think I'm still going to show it to you because I think you'd get a kick out of it. I might not do a tutorial on it, but I'll tell you how I made it because I don't want to make another one. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and I will be back soon, and you have a wonderful day. Bye.